my craft friends! In the last video, I asked you if you liked Christmas crafting in July. And from the response to that video and the comments, I'd say it's a resounding yes. So let's go ahead and get started with part 2 of our 4-part series where we are crafting all new Christmas in July crafts.
The supplies for this DIY consist of a wood cutout. In this instance, I'm going to be using this Merry Christmas wood cutout. You'll need 2 of these faux plastic tiles. I purchased them at Dollar Tree, but you can find them anywhere. And I also have this old sign that I made from scratch that I'm going to repurpose. We begin by removing the back panel from our wood frame. And to do that, I'm just going to remove the framer's points with a pair of pliers. Now that we have that done, we'll have this back panel piece. We'll set our frame aside and we're going to work with our back panel piece by gluing the plastic tiles to the front of our wood piece. And to do that, you start by prepping your tiles. Now they do have a sticky on the back, but I'm going to be using this Elmer's glue adhesive, spray adhesive. But first you need to remove the back plastic sticky part from your tile. And that's quite easy. You'll just remove the backing and then you'll cut along the edge of your tile, making sure to get both the front and the back panel in there, and it'll create like a pocket. Then you'll just remove it from the seam. Leaving you with a perfectly plain piece of plastic tile paneling. And then I just proceeded to do the same thing to the second piece. Now we have our 2 pieces. We're going to take them outside with our adhesive and we're going to glue them to our wood panel. Okay, now that we have them glued to our wood panel, we have one solid piece, and I think this looks so beautiful. There's so many opportunities for DIYs with this, but I'm going to be painting mine red. I'm going to be using this Apple Red by Rust-Oleum in a satin finish. So I'm going to take it outside and spray it. And while that's drying, we're going to prepare our Merry Christmas word cutout. We start by removing the hanger tag and we're going to be painting it white. Then while that's drying, we bring back in our paneled piece that we painted red. I think it is so beautiful, but we're going to kick it up a notch using some of this antique gold rub and buff, and we're going to highlight the design on the tiles. And I just used a simple piece of paper towel and the rub and buff. Then look at this beautiful red with gold highlight panel. I'm so in love with this. Now we're going to bring back in our frame and we're going to insert our panel into the back side of our frame. So we're basically just putting it back together. And you can use anything to hold the wood into your frame, but I'm going to be using my Framer's Point tool and I'm going to be adding more Framer's Points. I love this Framer's Point tool. Oh my goodness. It's one of my favorite tools. Okay, that looks perfect. And look at that piece. Oh, yikes, I love it so much. Now for this next step, it's very simple. We're just going to take our Merry Christmas and glue it to the center of our piece. And also keep in mind that you can use any word cutout you prefer, and for any season. And I just glued mine on with some Gorilla Hot Glue. Then you're left with this beautiful piece of wall art, or you could use it as a piece above your mantle for the Christmas season. I think that would be beautiful too.
And as I was crafting this DIY, I thought it could use something else. So I added this cute little rustic star here at the top, but I think it needs something down here at the bottom. I was thinking maybe like a couple sprigs of greenery just on the bottom. I only have one of these, so I'm gonna have to be on the lookout. What do you guys think? Greenery? No greenery? Well, in the meantime, let's go ahead and continue on to DIY number 2.
For this DIY, the supplies are quite simple. You'll need a vintage print, some scrapbook paper, and a piece of wood. I'm going to be using this wood plaque I've had on hand for quite a while. To begin, we're going to start by painting our wood plaque this English Ivy Green by Apple Barrel. And as you'll see, I didn't have to paint the whole piece of wood. I'm going to be gluing the scrapbook paper to the front side, and I'm going to be doing that with some of this Elmer's spray adhesive. And once our glue has dried, we'll then trim away the excess scrapbook paper and fine-tune the edges of our wood plaque with some sandpaper. I also took the opportunity to sand the edges of my wood plaque as well with the sandpaper. Now we'll move on and we're going to cut down our vintage piece or print that we printed out. And once we have it cut out, we're going to glue it to the front side of our plaque. And to do that, I'm just going to be using some Elmer's purple glue stick. Now that our glue is dried, we're going to age our piece with some of this gel stain from Hobby Lobby. And what I wanted to accomplish with this is to basically age the piece a little bit, but I also wanted to take away those white edges of the sanded scrapbook paper. Then our piece will look something like this. I think it really aged it quite well. Now I'm making my piece very vintage, and I'm going to be using some of this garland, this tinsel garland from Dollar Tree. I've had it on hand for years. But I love tinsel. It just says vintage to me. I just remember my grandmother's tinsel tree that used to have that color wheel that flashed up on it. Oh my gosh, I love that tree so much. I loved going to Christmas at my grandmother's house. But we're just going to glue the little tinsel trim around our piece. And as you can see, I'm just framing my vintage print with the tinsel garland. Now that we're done with our tinsel frame, we're going to make a bow. And for the bow, I'm going to be making what they call a messy bow or a stack bow. I'm not really sure what they call it, quite honestly, but I just call it a messy bow. And you just start by cutting strips of your ribbon, just making sure to cut 2 strips of each style of ribbon. And the more ribbon choices, the better. And once you have your pieces cut, you'll then just start stacking them in the pattern of an X, making sure to layer them on top of each other in descending order, starting from the larger piece of ribbon and then going up to the smaller piece of ribbon. Once you have it stacked the way you prefer, you'll take a smaller piece of ribbon and you will put it down the center of your stacked ribbon pieces. Then you'll flip it over and tie it tight on the back side. And then you kind of just crunch the ribbon up. I like to do that. It kind of makes it a little more roughed up, especially the wired ribbon. And then you're going to glue it to your piece. Now first I'm going to trim mine a little bit because I always like to make my pieces of ribbon a little larger than I'm going to use, just so I have a little bit to play with instead of cutting it too short. Then I added some tinsel at the back of my bow. So I just glued it on the back of the bow on the back side, and you'll see it gives it that great vintage touch, I think. And then I just glued it to the top of my wood piece. And I think it came out so cute. I love this piece so much. I can't wait to use it for the holidays. Now we're moving on to DIY number 3. For this DIY, we're going to be using some fun supplies. They consist of varying pieces of scrapbook paper, some small ornaments from Hobby Lobby, but the star of our DIY is going to be these blank roundwood ornaments from Hobby Lobby. They come in a pack of 6, and I've had these on hand for a couple of years, but I noticed that they sell them every year at Hobby Lobby, so you should be able to find some this year. And we start the DIY by gluing some paper pieces to the front side of our ornaments. Once we have them glued down and they've dried to the front side, we're then going to take a pair of sharp scissors and trim around the outer edge of our ornaments. And you'll also want to glue the paper matching the front side on the back side of each ornament and trimming it away. Now that we have our paper on, we're going to stain the top side of our ornaments, the little wood part that's sticking out. And I'm going to be doing this with some of this gel stain from Hobby Lobby. And once I started staining the top half, I decided to go ahead and age the complete ornament with the stain around the edges. And once I had everything stained, I was left with these beautiful aged ornaments. But we're not done because I wanted to jazz mine up a little bit, and I took some of these cute little ornaments that have these little dog photos on them. They are so cute. They're little illustrations, but they're ornaments that I found in the, in Hobby Lobby they have the little mini tree section where all those tiny little cute little ornaments are. Well, that's where I found these. And I just removed their hangers and then glued them to the front side of my round wood ornaments. These were really fun to make. You could make them with anything too. I just happen to have little dog photos, but you could do anything that you wanted. Look at how cute they are. They're so cute. I can't wait to hang them on my tree. But instead of using the red ribbon that came with them, I decided to make some little white bows and some white ribbon hangers. How cute are they? I think they turned out so adorable. I love my whole set. I hope this inspires you to make some of your own.